What if I told you that living as a tarantula is actually one of the most fascinating, complex, and surprisingly delicate experiences in the animal kingdom? What if everything you thought you knew about these eight-legged hunters was completely wrong? Tonight, we're going to step into the world of a creature that experiences life in ways so alien to us that it might as well be from another planet. We're going to explore what it's actually like to wake up every morning in a body that can regenerate lost limbs, and to live in a universe where a single drop of water could be the difference between life and death. But here's what makes this journey truly incredible. The tarantula's world isn't just about survival. It's about an ancient dance of patience, precision, and power that's been perfected over millions of years. These creatures have mastered arts that humans can barely comprehend. They're architects, engineers, chemists, and warriors all rolled into one fuzzy package. Before we dive deep into this hidden world, I want you to forget everything you think you know about spiders. Forget the movies. Forget the screams. Forget the fear. Because what we're about to discover is a life so intricate, so perfectly adapted, and so beautifully strange that it will change the way you see not just tarantulas, but the entire natural world around you. We're going to explore how it feels to molt your entire skin like taking off a suit of armor, how you hunt without ever making a sound, and how you can survive for months without eating a single meal. We're going to discover what it's like to taste the world through your feet, to see through eyes that work like tiny telescopes, and to live in a body that's part hydraulic machine, part chemical laboratory. This isn't just about biology. This is about stepping into a completely different way of experiencing existence itself. It's about understanding a creature that has survived ice ages, continental drift, and countless extinction events by perfecting the art of simply being a tarantula. The world of a tarantula begins not with sight, but with feeling. Imagine waking up every morning and the first thing you experience isn't light streaming through your eyes, but vibrations traveling through your legs. Every footstep of a passing beetle, every flutter of a moth's wings, every drop of moisture hitting the ground, all of this information flows through your body like a constant stream of data. Your legs aren't just for walking, they're your internet connection to the world. Each of your 8 legs is covered in thousands of microscopic hairs called setae, and these aren't just for show. They're sophisticated sensors that can detect the slightest changes in air pressure, the faintest chemical traces, and vibrations so subtle that the most advanced human technology can barely measure them. When you're a tarantula, your entire body is essentially one giant sensing organ. You can feel a fly landing on your web from across the room. You can detect the footsteps of a potential mate from several feet away. You can sense the approach of a predator by the way it disturbs the air around you. It's like having superhuman awareness, except instead of one sense being enhanced, all of your senses are working together in perfect harmony. But here's where it gets really fascinating. As a tarantula, you don't just feel these vibrations, you understand them. Your brain, tiny as it might be, has evolved to decode this constant stream of sensory information with incredible precision. You can tell the difference between the vibrations of a struggling insect and the vibrations of wind moving through grass. You can distinguish between the footsteps of a potential meal and the footsteps of something that wants to make you its meal. This is a world where information travels through touch, where every surface is a communication network, and where standing still doesn't mean you're not gathering intelligence. You're constantly reading the world around you like a book written in vibrations, and you're fluent in every chapter. Your vision, while not as sharp as a human's, serves a completely different purpose. You have 8 eyes arranged in 2 rows across the front of your head, but they're not really designed for the kind of detailed vision humans rely on. Instead, they're motion detectors, shadow readers, light sensors that help you navigate between day and night. As a tarantula, you see the world in a constant state of movement and shadow. You can detect the slightest motion from surprising distances, but the details that humans obsess over, the colors, the fine features, the written words, none of that matters in your world. What matters is whether something is moving toward you or away from you, whether it's bigger or smaller than you, and whether it's moving in the pattern of prey or predator. Your world is painted in broad strokes of light and dark, movement and stillness. It's a world where a shadow falling across your burrow is more important than the most beautiful sunset, where the flutter of movement in your peripheral vision could mean the difference between your next meal and your last moment alive. But perhaps the most alien aspect of living as a tarantula is how you experience your own body. Humans think of their bodies as permanent, solid, unchanging day to day. But as a tarantula, your body is temporary, a suit you wear until it no longer fits, and then you simply step out of it and grow a new one. Molting is like being reborn, but it's also terrifying and exhausting. Imagine if every few months you had to shed your entire skin, including the lining of your stomach, the covering of your eyes, even your fangs. Everything has to come off, and you have to do it all while remaining vulnerable and exposed. The process begins weeks before the actual molt. You stop eating because your old skin is too tight, too restrictive. You become sluggish, almost meditative, as your body prepares for this incredible transformation. You seek out the safest, most secluded spot you can find, usually deep in your burrow, and then you wait. When the time comes, you flip onto your back, a position that would mean death in almost any other circumstance, and you begin the slow, exhausting process of pulling yourself out of your old skin. Your legs emerge first, pale and soft, followed by your abdomen, your head, your fangs. It can take hours, and during this time, you're completely helpless. But when it's over, when you finally step out of your old skin like stepping out of old clothes, you're not just bigger, you're renewed. Your colors are more vibrant, your hairs are fresh and sensitive, and if you've lost a leg in battle, it's grown back, perfect and new. You've literally been reborn, and this miraculous process will happen dozens of times throughout your life. The hours and days following a molt are perhaps the most vulnerable time in a tarantula's life. Your new skin is soft, your fangs are still hardening, and you can't hunt or defend yourself effectively. You have to hide and wait while your body slowly transforms from soft vulnerability into armored perfection. Living as a tarantula means existing in a constant state of patient alertness. You're not an active hunter like a cheetah or a wolf. You're a master of the ambush, a creature that has perfected the art of being invisible until the perfect moment presents itself. Your hunting strategy is built around patience that would make a monk jealous. You can sit motionless for hours, days, even weeks, waiting for the right opportunity. Your body is designed for these long periods of stillness. Your metabolism is so efficient that you can survive for months without eating, burning energy so slowly that you barely seem alive. But this stillness isn't laziness. It's strategy. Every moment of waiting is a moment of gathering information, of reading the vibrations in the ground, of monitoring the air for the chemical signatures of potential prey. You're like a spider-shaped landmine, perfectly camouflaged and infinitely patient. When prey finally does venture close enough, your strike is lightning fast. Those legs that seem so slow and deliberate suddenly move with incredible speed and precision. You can cover the distance to your prey in milliseconds, your fangs delivering a precise dose of venom that immobilizes your victim almost instantly. But here's what makes tarantula hunting truly sophisticated. You don't just bite and hope for the best. Your venom is a carefully calibrated cocktail of chemicals, each one designed for a specific purpose. Some components paralyze your prey, others begin the process of digestion, and still others prevent blood clotting. You're not just a predator, you're a walking pharmaceutical laboratory. Once your prey is subdued, you begin the process of external digestion. You inject digestive enzymes directly into your victim's body, turning its insides into a nutritious soup that you can then drink. It's efficient, it's thorough, and it's completely alien to how humans think about eating. This process can take hours or even days, depending on the size of your prey. You're not eating a meal, you're slowly absorbing every nutrient your victim has to offer. Nothing is wasted, nothing is left behind except an empty shell. The social life of a tarantula is perhaps one of the most misunderstood aspects of their existence. Most people think of spiders as solitary creatures, and while this is largely true, the reality is much more complex and fascinating. As a tarantula, you live most of your life alone, but you're never truly isolated. You're part of an invisible network of chemical communication that spans your entire territory. You leave scent trails wherever you go, chemical messages that other tarantulas can read like a newspaper. These chemical signals tell a story about who you are, where you've been, what you've eaten, whether you're male or female, young or old, healthy or sick. Other tarantulas can read these messages and know whether you're a potential mate, a rival, or a threat. During mating season, this chemical communication becomes even more sophisticated. Male tarantulas will follow the scent trails of females for incredible distances, sometimes traveling for days to find a potential mate. But when they finally arrive, the courtship ritual is anything but simple. Male tarantulas must perform an elaborate dance to convince females that they're suitors rather than meals. They tap out complex rhythms on the ground and on the female's web, creating vibrations that are part music, part Morse code, part desperate plea for acceptance. The female, meanwhile, must decide whether this male is worth the risk. Mating is dangerous for both parties, but especially for the male, who might become his mate's next meal if he's not careful. The entire process is a delicate balance of attraction and danger, desire and survival. If the courtship is successful, the actual mating process is brief but intense. The male must deposit his sperm on a special web, collect it with specialized appendages, and then transfer it to the female while avoiding her fangs. It's acrobatic, it's dangerous, and it requires perfect timing and coordination. For the female, mating is just the beginning of a months-long process of egg development and care. She'll create an egg sac containing hundreds of potential offspring, and she'll guard it with her life. She'll turn it regularly to ensure proper development. She'll defend it from predators, and she'll sacrifice her own hunting opportunities to keep her future children safe. When the eggs finally hatch, the tiny spiderlings will climb onto their mother's back and ride there for weeks, learning the basics of survival while being protected by the most dangerous creature in their world. It's a touching display of maternal care from a creature that most people assume is incapable of such behavior. The physical experience of being a tarantula is unlike anything humans can truly comprehend. Your body operates on principles that seem to defy logic, powered by systems that are both incredibly simple and remarkably sophisticated. Your circulatory system, for instance, is what scientists call an open system. Instead of blood flowing through enclosed vessels like human blood, your hemolymph, the tarantula equivalent of blood, flows freely through your body cavity, bathing your organs directly. Your heart is a simple tube that contracts rhythmically, pushing this fluid throughout your body. But here's where it gets interesting. Your legs don't operate like human limbs. You don't have muscles that extend your legs. Instead, you use hydraulic pressure, pumping hemolymph into your legs to extend them, and using muscles only to contract them. You're essentially a biological hydraulic machine, and this system is incredibly efficient and powerful. This hydraulic system is why tarantulas can lose a leg and still function normally. It's why they can regenerate lost limbs during molting, and it's why they can move with such surprising speed and precision despite their seemingly clumsy appearance. Your respiratory system is equally alien. You don't have lungs like mammals. Instead, you have book lungs, organs that look like the pages of a book and extract oxygen directly from the air. You also have a network of tubes called tracheae that deliver oxygen directly to your tissues. This system is incredibly efficient, but it also makes you vulnerable to changes in humidity and temperature. Too much moisture can flood your respiratory system, while too little can cause you to dehydrate rapidly. You're constantly monitoring and adjusting your environment to maintain the perfect balance. Your digestive system is perhaps the most unusual of all. You don't have teeth to chew your food, so all of your digestion happens externally. You inject your prey with digestive enzymes and then drink the liquefied result. Your stomach is essentially a storage tank for this pre-digested soup. This system allows you to consume prey much larger than yourself, but it also means you can only eat liquids. The solid food that humans take for granted is completely foreign to your experience. Every meal is a carefully orchestrated chemical process that can take hours or days to complete. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of tarantula existence is their relationship with time. As a tarantula, you experience time in a completely different way than humans do. Your lifespan can stretch for decades, with some species living for over 30 years. But it's not just the length of your life that's different, it's the pace. You can remain motionless for weeks at a time, waiting for the perfect hunting opportunity. You can go months without eating and suffer no ill effects. Your entire existence is built around a patience that humans can barely comprehend. This relationship with time affects every aspect of your life. Your growth is measured not in months or years, but in molts. Your hunting success is measured not in daily kills, but in the perfect ambush that might come once a month. Your reproductive cycle spans years, not seasons. As a tarantula, you're living proof that time is relative. While humans rush through their brief lives, constantly moving, constantly consuming, constantly changing, you exist in a state of meditative patience, moving only when movement serves a purpose, acting only when action is required. This patience isn't passive. It's active, intelligent, strategic. Every moment of stillness is a moment of gathering information, of preparing for the next opportunity, of conserving energy for when it's truly needed. You're not waiting for life to happen to you. You're positioning yourself to make the most of every opportunity that presents itself. The world of a tarantula is also a world of constant chemical communication. Your body is both a receiver and transmitter of chemical signals, constantly reading and broadcasting information about your environment, your health, your intentions, and your identity. You taste the world through your feet, literally. Every surface you walk on tells you a story. You can detect the chemical traces left by other animals, the pheromones that indicate fear, aggression, or sexual readiness. You can taste the difference between clean water and contaminated water, between safe territory and dangerous ground. Your fangs aren't just weapons. They're precision instruments capable of delivering exactly the right amount of venom for any situation. You can administer a killing dose to prey or a warning bite to a threat. You can inject digestive enzymes or defensive chemicals. Your venom is a complex cocktail that you can adjust based on the specific needs of each situation. But perhaps, most remarkably, you can taste and analyze the chemical composition of your environment through specialized organs that humans don't even possess. You're constantly sampling the air, the ground, the surfaces around you, building a detailed chemical map of your world. This chemical awareness extends to your own body as well. You can detect the early signs of illness, the approach of molting, the readiness for reproduction. You're intimately connected to your own biological processes in ways that humans, despite all their medical technology, can barely imagine. The territorial behavior of tarantulas reveals another fascinating aspect of their existence. As a tarantula, you don't just live in a burrow, you engineer it. You're an architect and construction worker, constantly modifying and improving your home to meet your changing needs. Your burrow isn't just a hole in the ground. It's a sophisticated structure with multiple chambers, escape routes, and environmental controls. You line the walls with silk to prevent collapse, create drainage systems to prevent flooding, and design the entrance to be easily defended but difficult for predators to detect. The silk you produce isn't just for web building. It's a multi-purpose material that you use for construction, communication, and protection. You can create tripwires that alert you to intruders, drag lines that help you navigate in darkness, and protective barriers that shield you during molting. Your silk is stronger than steel wire of the same thickness, more flexible than rubber, and waterproof. You produce it on demand in whatever quantity you need, and you can vary its properties based on its intended use. You're a living factory, producing one of the most remarkable materials in the natural world. But your engineering skills extend beyond construction. You're also a master of camouflage and deception. You can modify your appearance to blend perfectly with your environment, arrange debris to conceal your burrow entrance, and even create false trails to confuse predators. The defensive capabilities of tarantulas are perhaps one of the most misunderstood aspects of their behavior. Most people see a tarantula's defensive posture, reared up on hind legs with fangs exposed, and assume it's aggressive. But this is actually a last resort, a desperate attempt to avoid conflict. As a tarantula, your primary defense is invisibility. You're a master of not being seen, of blending into your environment so perfectly that predators walk right past you. Your colors, your posture, your timing, everything about you is designed to avoid detection. When invisibility fails, your next defense is escape. Despite their reputation for being slow, tarantulas can move with surprising speed when threatened. You can cover ground quickly, squeeze into impossibly small spaces, and even drop limbs to escape a predator's grasp. Your urticating hairs are another sophisticated defense mechanism. These are specialized hairs that you can kick off your abdomen when threatened. They're barbed, irritating, and can cause serious discomfort to any predator that gets too close. You're essentially carrying a cloud of pepper spray wherever you go. But perhaps your most effective defense is your reputation. Most predators have learned through evolution that attacking a tarantula is more trouble than it's worth. Your fangs, your venom, your size, your defensive posture, all of these create a psychological barrier that deters most potential threats. The sensory world of a tarantula extends far beyond what humans can perceive. You can detect electromagnetic fields, sense changes in barometric pressure, and feel vibrations through solid objects from remarkable distances. You're living in a world of information that humans can barely imagine. Your ability to sense electromagnetic fields helps you navigate and orient yourself even in complete darkness. You can detect the Earth's magnetic field and use it like a compass. You can sense the electromagnetic signatures of other living creatures, which helps you distinguish between potential prey and potential threats. Your sensitivity to barometric pressure allows you to predict weather changes hours or even days in advance. You can sense approaching storms, changes in humidity, and shifts in temperature that might affect your hunting or your safety. You're essentially carrying a sophisticated weather station in your body. But perhaps most remarkably, you can sense the emotional states of other creatures through chemical and vibrational cues. You can detect fear, aggression, illness, and reproductive readiness in other animals. You're reading the emotional landscape of your environment as easily as humans read facial expressions. This sensory sophistication extends to your ability to learn and remember. Despite having a brain smaller than a grain of rice, you can remember the location of hundreds of landmarks, the timing of prey activity, the territorial boundaries of other tarantulas, and the safest routes through your territory. You can learn from experience, adapting your hunting strategies based on success and failure. You can remember which types of prey are most nutritious, which predators are most dangerous, and which environmental conditions are most favorable for different activities. The reproductive cycle of tarantulas reveals yet another fascinating aspect of their existence. For male tarantulas, reaching sexual maturity is both a triumph and a death sentence. Once a male molts into his adult form, he stops growing and begins a journey that will likely end in death. As a mature male tarantula, your entire existence becomes focused on finding a mate. You stop eating, you abandon your territory, and you begin wandering in search of females. This journey can take weeks or months, and it's incredibly dangerous. You're vulnerable to predators, weather, and exhaustion. But if you successfully find a female and manage to mate without being eaten, you've accomplished the ultimate goal of your existence. Your genes will continue into the next generation, and your life's purpose will be fulfilled. For female tarantulas, the reproductive process is much more complex and extended. After mating, you'll spend months developing eggs, creating an egg sac, and caring for your offspring. You'll sacrifice your own hunting opportunities to guard your eggs, and you'll risk your life to defend them from predators. When your eggs finally hatch, you'll carry hundreds of tiny spiderlings on your back for weeks, protecting them while they develop the skills they need to survive on their own. It's one of the most remarkable displays of parental care in the animal kingdom. The relationship between tarantulas and their environment is one of perfect adaptation and mutual dependence. As a tarantula, you're not just living in your ecosystem, you're an integral part of it. Your presence affects the populations of insects, the health of the soil, and the balance of the entire food web. Your hunting helps control populations of insects that might otherwise become pests. Your burrowing aerates the soil and creates habitat for other creatures. Your molted skins provide nutrients for plants and other animals. Even your death contributes to the ecosystem, providing food for scavengers and nutrients for the soil. But you're also completely dependent on your environment. Changes in temperature, humidity, or prey availability can have dramatic effects on your survival. You're intimately connected to the health of your ecosystem, and your presence is often an indicator of environmental stability. This relationship with the environment extends to your role as both predator and prey. While you're a fearsome hunter to insects and small vertebrates, you're also food for birds, mammals, reptiles, and other spiders. You exist in a complex web of relationships that has remained stable for millions of years. The intelligence of tarantulas is often underestimated, but their behavior reveals a sophisticated understanding of their world. As a tarantula, you can solve problems, learn from experience, and adapt your behavior based on changing circumstances. You can recognize individual humans and respond differently to familiar and unfamiliar people. You can learn the schedules of your prey and adjust your hunting times accordingly. You can remember the locations of safe hiding spots and dangerous areas throughout your territory. Your ability to plan and execute complex behaviors is remarkable. You can construct elaborate burrows, time your molts to coincide with optimal conditions, and coordinate your reproductive activities with environmental cycles. You're constantly making decisions based on incomplete information and adapting your strategies as new information becomes available. Perhaps most remarkably, you can communicate complex information to other tarantulas through chemical signals and vibrations. You can indicate your species, your sex, your reproductive status, your health, and your intentions. You're participating in a sophisticated communication network that spans your entire ecosystem. The daily routine of a tarantula is governed by cycles that are both ancient and perfectly adapted to their environment. As a tarantula, your day begins not with an alarm clock, but with the subtle changes in light, temperature, and humidity that signal the transition from day to night. You're primarily nocturnal, which means your most active hours are when the human world is sleeping. As darkness falls, you emerge from your burrow with senses fully alert, ready to take advantage of the night's opportunities. Your first task is reconnaissance. You scan your territory for changes, checking for signs of intruders, new sources of food, or potential threats. You move slowly and deliberately, reading the chemical messages left by other creatures, updating your mental map of your world. If you detect prey, you begin the careful process of positioning yourself for an ambush. This might involve moving to a new location, adjusting your posture, or simply waiting in perfect stillness for your target to come within range. But hunting is only one aspect of your nightly routine. You also spend time maintaining your burrow, repairing damage, clearing debris, and improving your defenses. You're constantly engineering your environment to better serve your needs. As dawn approaches, you retreat to your burrow, where you'll spend the daylight hours in relative safety. But even during the day, you're not truly inactive. You're monitoring your environment, processing information, and preparing for the next night's activities. This routine might seem monotonous to humans, but it's perfectly adapted to your needs and your environment. Every action has a purpose. Every moment of stillness is strategic, and every decision is based on millions of years of evolutionary refinement. The seasonal cycles that govern tarantula behavior reveal another layer of their sophisticated relationship with their environment. As a tarantula, you don't just react to daily changes in your environment, you're also attuned to the subtle shifts that mark the changing seasons. In preparation for winter, you modify your burrow to provide better insulation, stock up on food when possible, and adjust your activity patterns to conserve energy. You can sense the approaching cold weeks before it arrives, and you prepare accordingly. During the breeding season, your behavior changes dramatically. If you're a male, you become restless and begin your dangerous journey in search of mates. If you're a female, you become more selective about your territory and more aggressive toward intruders who might threaten your future offspring. Spring brings renewed activity as temperatures rise and prey becomes more abundant. You emerge from your winter retreat with heightened senses, ready to take advantage of the season's opportunities. Your metabolism increases, your hunting becomes more frequent, and if you're approaching a molt, you begin the complex preparations for that transformative process. The summer months are often your most active time, when prey is abundant and conditions are optimal for growth and reproduction. But you must also be more vigilant during this time, as predators are equally active and environmental hazards like drought or flooding pose constant threats. These seasonal rhythms are deeply ingrained in your biology. You don't consciously plan for winter or spring, but your body knows what's coming and begins preparing weeks or months in advance. You're living in harmony with natural cycles that have governed life on Earth for millions of years. The survival challenges faced by tarantulas reveal the incredible resilience and adaptability of these remarkable creatures. As a tarantula, you're constantly navigating a world filled with dangers that could end your life in an instant. Predators are everywhere. Birds of prey can spot you from incredible distances and strike with deadly precision. Mammals dig into your burrow while you're helpless during molting. Other spiders, wasps, and even other tarantulas see you as a potential meal. You're simultaneously predator and prey, hunter and hunted. Weather poses constant challenges. Too much rain can flood your burrow. Too little can cause fatal dehydration. Extreme temperatures can kill you outright or force you into dangerous periods of inactivity. You must constantly monitor and adapt to changing conditions. Disease and parasites are invisible threats that can weaken you over time. Fungal infections can spread across your body during molting. Parasitic wasps can lay eggs inside you, and their larvae will eventually consume you from the inside. You have no medicine, no doctors, only your own immune system and your ability to avoid exposure. But perhaps the greatest challenge is simply the passage of time. As a tarantula, you're playing a game of odds that gets more dangerous with each passing day. Every hunt could be your last, every molt could go wrong, every encounter with a predator could end in death. Yet despite these constant dangers, you persist. You survive through a combination of caution, skill, and adaptation that represents millions of years of evolutionary refinement. You are the descendant of countless generations of tarantulas who faced these same challenges and survived long enough to reproduce. The ecological importance of tarantulas extends far beyond their role as predators. As a tarantula, you're a keystone species in your ecosystem, meaning that your presence has effects that ripple throughout the entire food web. Your hunting activities help maintain the balance of insect populations, preventing any single species from becoming too dominant. Without tarantulas and other predators, many ecosystems would be overrun by insects, leading to crop damage, disease transmission, and environmental degradation. Your burrowing activities have profound effects on soil health and structure. Your tunnels create pathways for water and air to penetrate deep into the earth, improving drainage and aeration. Your activities help mix soil layers, distributing nutrients and organic matter throughout the soil profile. Even your waste products contribute to ecosystem health. Your excrement provides nutrients for plants and soil microorganisms. Your molted skins decompose and add organic matter to the soil. When you die, your body becomes food for scavengers and eventually nutrients for plants. But your ecological importance goes beyond these direct effects. You're also an indicator species, meaning that your presence and health reflect the overall condition of your ecosystem. Scientists can learn about environmental changes, pollution levels, and habitat quality by studying tarantula populations. Your role in the food web is complex and multifaceted. You're not just a predator, you're also prey for a wide variety of creatures. Your presence supports populations of birds, mammals, reptiles, and other predators that depend on you for food. You're a crucial link in the chain that connects the smallest insects to the largest predators. The evolutionary history of tarantulas is a story of incredible success and adaptation. As a tarantula, you're part of a lineage that stretches back over 100 million years. Your ancestors lived alongside dinosaurs, survived mass extinctions, and adapted to countless environmental changes. Your body plan is so successful that it has remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. The basic tarantula design, with its 8 legs, 2 body segments, and hydraulic movement system, has proven to be one of the most effective. But what does it mean to live as a predator that operates in complete darkness? The tarantula's nocturnal existence begins at dusk, when most creatures settle into rest. As shadows lengthen and temperatures drop, something stirs beneath the carefully constructed silk-lined burrow. The day's heat has dissipated, humidity rises, and the very air carries different messages. This is when the tarantula emerges, not with urgency, but with the measured confidence of a creature perfectly adapted to the night. The transition from day to night represents a fundamental shift in how the tarantula experiences its world. During daylight hours, it remains hidden, conserving energy and avoiding the desiccating effects of sun and wind. But as darkness falls, its sensory systems activate with remarkable precision. The setae that cover its body become even more sensitive, detecting the slightest vibrations in the ground, the faintest chemical traces in the air, the subtlest changes in humidity and temperature. Moving through the darkness requires a completely different set of skills than most creatures possess. The tarantula doesn't stumble or hesitate. Every step is deliberate, every movement calculated. Its legs probe the terrain ahead, testing for stability, feeling for the texture of surfaces, sensing the presence of potential prey or threats. The world becomes a three-dimensional map of vibrations, chemical signatures, and tactile information. Hunting in complete darkness transforms the tarantula into something almost supernatural. It doesn't need to see its prey in the traditional sense. A cricket moving through leaf litter 30 feet away sends ripples through the ground that the tarantula's legs detect instantly. The direction, distance, size, and even the species of the prey can be determined through these vibrations alone. This is not guesswork or instinct in the simple sense, but a sophisticated form of echolocation through solid matter. The approach is methodical and patient. The tarantula moves with a stillness that seems to bend reality around it. Each step is placed with surgical precision, avoiding dry leaves, loose stones, or anything that might alert prey to its presence. It can freeze mid-step for minutes at a time, waiting for the perfect moment to continue. This level of patience would be impossible for most creatures, but for the tarantula, it's simply how time works. When the moment arrives, the strike is explosive. The same hydraulic system that allows careful, measured movement suddenly transforms into a weapon of incredible speed and power. The tarantula launches itself forward with such velocity that prey often has no time to react. The fangs penetrate with mechanical precision, venom flows, and what was once a living, breathing creature becomes sustenance. But the night holds more than just hunting opportunities. It's also when the tarantula engages in the complex social behaviors that most people never witness. Male tarantulas, driven by hormones and the imperative to reproduce, begin their dangerous journeys across the landscape. They move with purpose, but also with extreme caution, knowing that every female they encounter could be either a mate or a predator. The courtship rituals that unfold in darkness are among the most intricate in the animal kingdom. The male approaches the female's burrow and begins a complex dance of vibrations, tapping out rhythms on her web with his legs and pedipalps. These vibrations carry specific information about his species, his size, his health, and his intentions. The female responds with her own signals, either welcoming him closer or warning him away. This communication happens entirely through touch and vibration. The male must read the female's responses with perfect accuracy, because a mistake could cost him his life. If she's receptive, he moves closer, continuing the vibrational dialogue. If she's aggressive or simply not interested, he must retreat immediately. The entire interaction is a delicate balance of desire and survival, played out in complete darkness through a language of touch. The female's perspective during these encounters is equally complex. She must evaluate not just the male's species compatibility, but his overall fitness, his genetic quality, and whether the timing is right for reproduction. Her responses are not automatic, but carefully considered decisions based on multiple factors. She might reject several males before accepting one, or she might accept a male's advances only to consume him afterward if she determines he's not genetically superior enough to father her offspring. Territory establishment and defense also occur primarily at night. Tarantulas are not social creatures in the traditional sense, but they do maintain complex relationships with their neighbors. They establish territories through chemical marking, leaving pheromone trails that communicate ownership, reproductive status, and warnings to competitors. These chemical messages persist for days or weeks, creating an invisible map of territorial boundaries that other tarantulas can read and respect. When territorial disputes arise, they're settled through displays of strength and aggression that would be impossible to appreciate without understanding the tarantula's sensory world. Two competing tarantulas might engage in what appears to be a slow-motion dance, rearing up on their hind legs, exposing their fangs, and creating vibrations that communicate their size, strength, and determination. The loser retreats, often without physical contact, having recognized the superior capabilities of the winner. The night also brings different types of threats. Nocturnal predators like owls, bats, and night-hunting mammals patrol the darkness, and the tarantula must remain constantly vigilant. Its defensive strategies are as sophisticated as its hunting techniques. It can detect the approach of an owl through minute changes in air pressure, the presence of a bat through ultrasonic vibrations, and the movement of ground-based predators through seismic signals. When threatened, the tarantula's response depends on the nature of the threat. Against aerial predators, it might freeze completely, becoming indistinguishable from the surrounding environment. Against ground-based threats, it might retreat rapidly to its burrow, using its intimate knowledge of the terrain to navigate obstacles in complete darkness. If cornered, it can release urticating hairs that create a cloud of irritating particles, or it can rear up in a threat display that makes it appear larger and more formidable. The tarantula's relationship with weather patterns becomes particularly critical during nighttime activities. It can sense approaching storms hours before they arrive, detecting changes in barometric pressure, humidity, and electromagnetic fields. This early warning system allows it to prepare for adverse conditions, either by returning to its burrow or by seeking alternative shelter. Rain transforms the tarantula's world completely. The sound of raindrops masks the vibrations of potential prey, making hunting more difficult. But rain also brings opportunities, as many insects and small animals seek shelter in places where the tarantula can easily access them. The tarantula must adapt its strategies in real time, shifting from vibration-based hunting to more visual and chemical detection methods. Cold snaps present different challenges. As an ectothermic creature, the tarantula's activity levels decrease as temperatures drop, but it doesn't simply become sluggish, it becomes more strategic. It conserves energy by reducing unnecessary movement, focuses its activities on the warmest parts of the night, and may even enter brief periods of torpor to survive extreme cold. The seasonal rhythms that govern the tarantula's life become most apparent during nighttime activities. In spring, emerging from winter dormancy, it must quickly assess the condition of its territory, repair any damage to its burrow, and begin the process of rebuilding its energy reserves. Summer nights are filled with intense hunting and territorial activities. Fall brings the mating season, with all its associated risks and rewards. Winter forces a gradual withdrawal from surface activities as the tarantula prepares for months of reduced activity. Throughout all these experiences, the tarantula maintains a mental map of its environment that's far more detailed and dynamic than most creatures possess. It knows every stone, every plant, every crevice within its territory. It remembers where prey is most likely to be found, where predators typically appear, and where shelter can be accessed quickly. This spatial memory is constantly updated based on new experiences and changing conditions. The tarantula's nocturnal existence is not simply about surviving in darkness, it's about thriving in a world that most creatures cannot even perceive. It has evolved to extract maximum information from minimal sensory input, to move with perfect efficiency through complex terrain, and to make life or death decisions based on subtle environmental cues. Every night is both a challenge and an opportunity, a test of its abilities and a chance to demonstrate the remarkable adaptations that have allowed its species to survive for millions of years. This is the reality of living as a tarantula, existing in a world where darkness is not an obstacle but an advantage, where silence is not emptiness but a canvas of vibrations and chemical signals, where patience is not passive waiting but active preparation for the perfect moment to strike. It's a life that unfolds according to rhythms and rules that are completely alien to human experience, yet perfectly logical within the context of the tarantula's evolutionary history and ecological niche. Now, let's delve deeper into the hidden complexities of tarantula existence, exploring the intricate web of relationships, adaptations, and survival strategies that define their remarkable lives. Your tarantula existence unfolds through a complex network of chemical conversations that would make our most sophisticated social media platforms seem primitive by comparison. Every surface you touch becomes a canvas for molecular messages. When you drag your abdomen across a rock or tree trunk, specialized spinnerets release silk threads embedded with chemical signatures that tell your story to any tarantula who encounters them days or even weeks later. These aren't simple territorial markers. They're biographical novels written in scent, revealing your age, sex, reproductive status, recent meals, stress levels, and even your individual genetic lineage. The sophistication of this chemical communication system extends far beyond basic identification. You can detect the emotional states of other tarantulas through their silk trails, sensing fear, aggression, contentment, or readiness to mate through molecular signatures invisible to most other creatures. When a juvenile tarantula passes through your territory, their silk tells you not just their size and species, but their confidence level, health status, and whether they've encountered predators recently. This chemical intelligence network allows you to make complex decisions about territory, hunting grounds, and social interactions without ever seeing another tarantula. Your relationship with water exists on multiple dimensions that reveal the elegant engineering of your body. Unlike mammals, who lose precious fluids through constant respiration and waste elimination, you've evolved to be a master of water conservation. Your book lungs operate with remarkable efficiency, extracting oxygen while minimizing water loss through specialized valve systems that adjust based on humidity levels. During dry seasons, you can actually slow your metabolism to reduce water consumption, entering a state of controlled dormancy that allows you to survive months without drinking. But water isn't just about survival, it's about information. Humidity levels tell you about weather patterns days in advance, allowing you to prepare for storms or drought. The vibrations of distant rainfall reach you through the ground long before the first drops fall, giving you time to adjust your hunting strategies or seek appropriate shelter. Your body serves as a living barometer, sensing atmospheric pressure changes that predict weather shifts with accuracy that would impress meteorologists. The relationship between your internal and external worlds creates a feedback loop of constant adaptation. Your hemolymph doesn't just power your hydraulic leg system, it carries chemical messengers that adjust your behavior based on environmental conditions. When prey becomes scarce, hormonal changes not only slow your metabolism, but also enhance your sensory sensitivity, making you more aware of subtle vibrations and chemical traces that might lead to food. During molting preparation, your body chemistry shifts to prioritize calcium absorption and protein synthesis, while dampening pain receptors that might otherwise make the vulnerable molting process unbearable. Your hunting strategies reveal a level of tactical sophistication that emerges from millions of years of evolutionary refinement. You don't just wait passively for prey to stumble into your territory. You actively engineer your environment to maximize hunting success. The placement of your burrow isn't random, it's positioned to take advantage of natural prey corridors, prevailing wind patterns that carry scent information, and substrate conditions that optimize vibration transmission. You modify the landscape around your burrow, clearing debris that might muffle vibrations while leaving strategic obstacles that force prey to move in predictable patterns. Your relationship with time operates on scales that span from milliseconds to decades. In the microsecond realm, your nervous system processes vibration patterns and makes attack decisions faster than most creatures can even register movement. You can distinguish between the footsteps of different prey species, identifying not just the type of animal but its size, speed, and health status through vibration analysis that happens almost instantaneously. Yet this same nervous system allows you to remain motionless for hours or even days when conditions aren't optimal for hunting. The seasonal rhythms that govern your life create a complex calendar of behavioral changes. Your body doesn't just respond to temperature and daylight changes, it anticipates them. Internal biological clocks begin preparing for winter months before external conditions actually change, shifting your hunting patterns, adjusting your metabolic rate, and even modifying your silk production to create more insulative webbing. During breeding season, these same biological rhythms coordinate with lunar cycles, creating optimal timing for courtship activities when atmospheric conditions enhance chemical communication. Your territorial behavior involves sophisticated cost-benefit analysis that would impress any economist. You don't defend territory simply because it's yours. You constantly evaluate whether the energy expenditure of defense is worth the resources the territory provides. When prey density drops in your area, you might abandon a burrow you've occupied for years, seeking new territory with better hunting prospects. Conversely, when conditions are ideal, you'll invest significant energy in expanding your territory, sometimes engaging in complex negotiations with neighboring tarantulas that involve chemical signaling, threat displays, and even ritualized combat. The relationship between your individual survival and your species' success creates interesting behavioral paradoxes. As a solitary creature, you generally avoid other tarantulas outside of mating season, yet you contribute to species-wide survival through complex ecological interactions. Your predation patterns help maintain insect population balances that benefit the entire ecosystem. Your burrowing activities improve soil aeration and drainage, creating microclimates that support plant growth and provide habitat for other species. Even your molted exoskeletons become resources for other creatures, providing calcium and other nutrients that support the broader food web. Your sensory world extends into realms that humans can barely comprehend. You can detect magnetic fields, allowing you to navigate using the Earth's magnetic signature as a compass. This magnetic sensitivity helps you maintain spatial orientation even in complete darkness or unfamiliar territory. Your ability to sense electrical fields means you can detect the bioelectrical activity of hidden prey, finding animals that have managed to avoid detection through vibration or chemical cues. Some researchers suggest you might even be sensitive to infrasound, low-frequency vibrations that travel great distances and could provide information about geological activity or weather patterns far beyond your immediate territory. The complexity of your digestive system reveals another layer of adaptive sophistication. Your ability to externally digest prey isn't just about processing food, it's about extracting maximum nutritional value from limited resources. The enzymes you inject into prey don't just break down proteins and fats. They selectively target specific nutrients based on your body's current needs. When you're preparing for molting, your digestive chemistry shifts to prioritize calcium and protein extraction. During periods of high activity, your enzymes focus on rapidly available energy sources. Your relationship with your own mortality creates behavioral patterns that balance current survival needs with long-term reproductive success. Unlike creatures with shorter lifespans who might take greater risks for immediate rewards, your potential decades of life create a different survival calculus. You're more likely to abandon a risky hunting opportunity, more cautious about territorial disputes, and more selective about when and where you expose yourself to danger. This long-term perspective influences every aspect of your behavior, from daily hunting decisions to major life changes like territory relocation or burrow construction. The social aspects of your existence, while limited, reveal surprising complexity when they do occur. During the rare instances when multiple tarantulas occupy the same area without conflict, intricate social hierarchies can emerge based on size, age, and chemical dominance markers. These temporary social structures influence hunting patterns, with subordinate individuals adjusting their activity periods to avoid competition with dominant tarantulas. Even after these social encounters end, the chemical and behavioral information gained continues to influence your decisions for weeks or months. Your species' relationship with human civilization creates new evolutionary pressures that you're actively adapting to. Urban environments present novel challenges and opportunities that your ancestors never encountered. Artificial lighting disrupts natural circadian rhythms, but also creates new hunting opportunities as insects are attracted to light sources. Human structures provide new types of shelter and territory, while human activities create vibration patterns that you must learn to distinguish from natural prey movements. Some tarantula populations are developing behavioral adaptations to urban environments, showing increased tolerance for human presence and modified hunting strategies that take advantage of human-created ecological niches. The philosophical implications of your existence touch on fundamental questions about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of experience itself. Your ability to learn, remember, and adapt suggests forms of cognition that challenge traditional definitions of intelligence. Your responses to environmental changes show planning and anticipation that implies some form of temporal awareness. Your territorial behaviors demonstrate recognition of ownership and resource management that suggests conceptual thinking beyond simple instinct. As we explore these deeper layers of tarantula existence, we begin to understand that your life represents not just survival, but a sophisticated engagement with the world that spans multiple dimensions of experience. You exist simultaneously as an individual organism, a member of a species, a participant in ecosystem dynamics, and a conscious entity processing information and making decisions that influence your survival and reproduction. This multi-layered existence creates a rich tapestry of experience that continues to reveal new complexities as we delve deeper into the remarkable world of tarantula consciousness and adaptation. Yet beneath all this sophisticated survival machinery lies perhaps the most profound mystery of the tarantula's existence: the question of consciousness itself. When we strip away our human assumptions about intelligence and awareness, we find ourselves confronting something far more complex than simple stimulus and response. The tarantula's decision-making process reveals layers of consideration that challenge our understanding of what it means to be conscious. Watch a tarantula stalking prey, and you witness something remarkable. It doesn't simply react to movement or chemical signals. It calculates, it weighs options. It demonstrates what can only be described as patience born of understanding, not mere instinct. This patience manifests in ways that suggest genuine awareness of time and consequence. A tarantula might remain motionless for hours, tracking the vibrations of potential prey, but it's not simply waiting for the right moment to strike. It's evaluating the size of the prey, the energy expenditure required for the hunt, the risk of injury, the likelihood of success. These calculations happen within a nervous system that processes information with startling efficiency. The tarantula's brain, distributed throughout its body in clusters of nerve cells, creates a network of decision-making that operates on multiple levels simultaneously. Consider the complexity of a tarantula's response to threat. When confronted with danger, it doesn't simply flee or fight. It assesses the nature of the threat, the terrain, the available escape routes, its own physical condition, and the potential for avoiding confrontation entirely. This assessment happens in milliseconds, but the sophistication of the evaluation suggests something far beyond mechanical response. The tarantula appears to model possible futures, selecting the option that maximizes survival while minimizing risk. This modeling extends to its social interactions as well. During courtship, male tarantulas demonstrate behavior that can only be described as strategic. They don't simply approach females with blind instinct. They read the female's body language, adjust their approach based on her responses, retreat when necessary, and advance when conditions are favorable. This dance of courtship reveals a level of social intelligence that requires not just awareness of self, but awareness of another's mental state. The male tarantula must understand that the female has her own intentions, her own decision-making process, her own capacity for choice. The tarantula's relationship with its environment suggests something approaching what we might call contemplation. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the world settles into stillness, a tarantula often emerges from its burrow to simply exist in the space around its home. It's not hunting, it's not patrolling territory, it's not engaged in any behavior that serves an obvious survival function. It appears to be experiencing its environment for the sake of experience itself. The way it moves during these moments, slow and deliberate, suggests a creature taking inventory of its world, processing the subtle changes in temperature, humidity, and air pressure that indicate the turning of seasons. This contemplative quality becomes even more apparent when we consider the tarantula's response to environmental changes. Climate shifts, habitat destruction, the introduction of new species into its ecosystem, these challenges require more than adaptive responses. They demand innovation, creativity, the ability to imagine solutions that have never been tried before. Tarantulas in changing environments have been observed developing new hunting strategies, modifying their burrow construction, altering their territorial boundaries, and even changing their daily rhythms to accommodate new conditions. The speed and flexibility of these adaptations suggest a form of intelligence that operates through imagination. The tarantula appears capable of envisioning scenarios that haven't yet occurred, testing solutions mentally before implementing them physically. This capacity for mental simulation, for running scenarios in the mind before committing to action, represents a level of consciousness that bridges the gap between reactive behavior and genuine thought. Perhaps most intriguingly, tarantulas demonstrate what appears to be individual personality. Some are bold explorers, quick to investigate new territories and novel situations. Others are cautious observers, preferring to gather information before acting. Some are aggressive defenders of their territory, while others are diplomatic negotiators, finding ways to coexist with neighbors. These personality differences persist throughout their lives, suggesting that each tarantula possesses something approaching a unique identity, a consistent sense of self that influences every decision it makes. The tarantula's relationship with memory adds another layer to this puzzle of consciousness. These creatures don't simply store information about their environment. They appear to reflect on their experiences, learning not just from success and failure, but from the emotional content of their memories. A tarantula that has experienced trauma will modify its behavior in ways that suggest not just learned caution, but something approaching what we might call wisdom. It carries the weight of its experiences, and that weight influences not just its actions, but its entire approach to existence. This emotional dimension of tarantula consciousness reveals itself most clearly in their response to loss. When a tarantula loses a limb, it doesn't simply adapt to the physical limitation. It goes through what can only be described as a period of adjustment that resembles grief. The creature's behavior changes, becoming more cautious, more deliberate, as if it's processing not just the physical reality of its loss, but the emotional impact of that change. Recovery involves not just physical healing, but what appears to be psychological healing as well. The tarantula's awareness of its own mortality adds yet another dimension to its consciousness. As these creatures age, their behavior shifts in ways that suggest an understanding of their own finite existence. Older tarantulas become more selective in their activities, more focused on essential tasks, more deliberate in their interactions with others. They appear to understand that their time is limited, and this understanding influences their choices in ways that suggest a profound awareness of life's preciousness. Living as a tarantula means existing in a state of constant awareness, where every moment contains the possibility of discovery, danger, opportunity, or loss. It means experiencing the world through senses that detect realities we can barely imagine. Processing information through a distributed intelligence that operates on multiple levels simultaneously, and making decisions that balance immediate needs with long-term consequences. It means possessing a form of consciousness that may be fundamentally different from our own, but no less real, no less profound, no less worthy of our respect and wonder. The tarantula's existence challenges our human-centered understanding of consciousness, intelligence, and awareness. It suggests that the universe contains forms of experience and understanding that operate according to logic and principles we're only beginning to comprehend. To live as a tarantula is to participate in a conversation with reality that has been ongoing for millions of years, a dialogue between creature and cosmos that continues to evolve, adapt, and discover new possibilities for existence itself. In this profound state of multidimensional awareness, the tarantula confronts perhaps the most fascinating paradox of its existence. the delicate balance between solitude and connection. While these creatures are predominantly solitary by nature, spending most of their lives as singular entities within their carefully constructed territories, they possess an intricate understanding of their place within the broader web of life that extends far beyond their individual burrows. The tarantula's relationship with solitude is not born of loneliness or isolation, but rather of necessity and strategic positioning. Within the confines of its silk-lined refuge, it exists in a state of heightened receptivity, constantly monitoring the vibrations that travel through the earth and air around it. This solitary existence allows for the kind of deep, undisturbed focus that enables the tarantula to process the vast array of sensory information flowing through its environment. Every tremor in the ground, every shift in air pressure, every chemical signature carried on the wind becomes part of its comprehensive understanding of the world beyond its immediate physical boundaries. Yet this solitude is paradoxically filled with connection. The tarantula's heightened sensitivity to its environment means it is never truly alone. It exists in constant dialogue with the ecosystem around it, reading the stories told by the movements of other creatures, the growth patterns of plants, the shifting of weather systems, and the countless other variables that make up the complex tapestry of its habitat. In this way, the tarantula embodies a form of connected solitude that allows it to be simultaneously independent and deeply integrated into the larger patterns of life. The temporal dimension of the tarantula's existence adds another layer of complexity to its experience. Unlike creatures that measure their lives in months or even a few years, many tarantula species can live for decades, with some females reaching ages of 25 years or more. This extended lifespan creates a unique perspective on the passage of time and the evolution of their environment. A tarantula may witness the same tree grow from a sapling to maturity, observe the gradual changes in local ecosystems, and experience the long-term patterns of climate and seasonal variation that shorter-lived creatures never fully comprehend. This long-term perspective influences every aspect of the tarantula's behavior and decision-making processes. When faced with a choice between immediate action and patient waiting, the tarantula's extended lifespan often favors the latter. This temporal luxury allows for a level of strategic thinking that prioritizes long-term stability over short-term gains. The tarantula can afford to wait for the perfect opportunity, to let situations develop naturally, and to make decisions based on patterns that may take months or even years to fully manifest. The molting process, which occurs multiple times throughout the tarantula's life, serves as a powerful metaphor for transformation and renewal. During these vulnerable periods, the tarantula must retreat completely from the world, sealing itself within its burrow and entering a state of profound vulnerability as it sheds its old exoskeleton and emerges with a new, larger one. This process is not merely physical, but represents a complete reorganization of the creature's relationship with its environment. Each molt brings increased size, enhanced capabilities, and often subtle changes in coloration and markings that may affect its interactions with both prey and predators. The psychological impact of molting on the tarantula's consciousness remains one of the most intriguing aspects of its existence. The period leading up to a molt is characterized by decreased activity, reduced appetite, and what appears to be a form of introspective preparation. The tarantula seems to sense the approaching transformation well in advance, making careful preparations and choosing the optimal timing for this vulnerable process. The actual emergence from the old exoskeleton is followed by a period of gradual hardening and adjustment, during which the tarantula must recalibrate its understanding of its own physical capabilities and limitations. This cyclical process of death and rebirth, of vulnerability and renewal, creates a unique relationship with change and adaptation that permeates every aspect of the tarantula's existence. Rather than viewing change as a threat to be resisted, the tarantula has evolved to embrace transformation as a natural and necessary part of life. This acceptance of change, combined with its patient and strategic approach to survival, creates a form of resilience that allows the tarantula to thrive in environments that would challenge many other creatures. The tarantula's relationship with its own mortality is equally complex and fascinating. Unlike many creatures that seem to live in a perpetual state of immediate survival, the tarantula's extended lifespan and patient nature suggest a different relationship with death and dying. The creature appears to understand and accept the cyclical nature of existence, viewing death not as an ending to be feared, but as a natural transition within the larger patterns of life. This acceptance manifests in behaviors that prioritize the long-term health of the ecosystem over immediate personal survival, such as the careful management of prey populations and the strategic use of resources. The legacy of the tarantula extends far beyond its individual existence, through its impact on the environment and the complex web of relationships it maintains with other creatures. Throughout its extended lifetime, a single tarantula may influence the populations of countless other species, from the insects it hunts to the plants that benefit from its waste products, from the microorganisms that inhabit its burrow to the larger predators that must adapt their hunting strategies to account for its presence. This ripple effect of influence creates a form of immortality that transcends the physical boundaries of the individual creature. In the final analysis, the tarantula's existence challenges our fundamental assumptions about consciousness, intelligence, and the nature of a life well lived. These remarkable creatures embody a form of wisdom that emerges not from rapid thought or complex reasoning, but from patient observation, strategic thinking, and deep integration with the natural world. Their lives demonstrate that intelligence can take many forms, that consciousness can exist without language or complex social structures, and that a meaningful existence can be built on patience, adaptability, and profound awareness of one's place within the larger tapestry of life. The tarantula's story is ultimately one of quiet mastery, of finding profound meaning in simplicity, and of living with a depth of awareness that most creatures, including humans, struggle to achieve. So, what's really fascinating about living as a tarantula is that your entire world is built on vibrations, chemical signals, and a patience that would make most humans uncomfortable. You're constantly feeling the world through your feet, waiting weeks or even months between meals, and molting your entire skin just to grow. If you've ever wondered what it's like to experience life through 8 legs and compound eyes, now you know it's a reality far stranger and more methodical than most of us could ever imagine.